The first time I saw her again, I didn't recognize her. Not immediately. It was the voice, low, steady, asking if anyone was using the chair across from me. I looked up from my laptop. The cafe's window light hit her hair, streaked faintly with silver. A stranger's face, calm and composed. But there was something in the way she waited, patient, almost too patient, that pulled a thread loose in me. "No, go ahead," I said. She sat, setting her tablet and a black coffee down with quiet precision. She wore a gray suit, the kind that didn't need to prove anything. I tried not to stare. But every few seconds, my eyes found their way back, the ringless hand adjusting her sleeve, the faint scar near her thumb. Something familiar there. The cafe smelled like burnt toast and espresso. My laptop screen blinked with unfinished code, but my mind drifted, to her reflection in the window, how she looked out at the rain starting to mist against the glass. I caught myself glancing again. She noticed. "You keep checking if I'm still here," she said, almost smiling. Her tone wasn't sharp, just quietly observant. I laughed, a little embarrassed. "Sorry. You just remind me of someone." "Oh. Someone I used to know." She nodded once, polite. That could have been the end of it. But she leaned back, curious. "Did you like her?" I hesitated, half a second too long. "I did. But I wasn't very good at it." She looked down, tracing the rim of her cup. "Most people aren't," she murmured. "Until it's too late." Something about that line landed deeper than I expected. For the next 20 minutes, silence filled the table. I worked. She read. Still, it didn't feel like silence, more like the kind that listens back. My phone buzzed with a message from my ex. I didn't open it. I never do, not right away. I just stare at the preview, the name, the few words visible, then lock the screen again. "Bad news?" she asked softly, eyes still on her tablet. "No. Just old noise." She gave a small nod, as if she understood the kind of noise that lingers even after it's gone. When she finished her coffee, she folded her napkin, twice, perfectly, and slid it under the cup. "I'll be seeing you around, mister." I told her my name. She repeated it, slow, like she was testing the sound of it against a memory. Then she smiled, just slightly, and stood. Her perfume was faint, something like cedar and rain. Before leaving, she turned back once. "You used to work at Nexel, didn't you?" My heart skipped. "Yeah. How'd you?" But she was already halfway to the door, coat folded neatly over her arm. The bell above it chimed, soft and final. I sat there a long time after she left. The napkin she'd folded was still there. My coffee had gone cold. When I finally checked my phone again, there was a new message, not from my ex-unknown number. "We need to talk. E." I stared at it, a strange weight building in my chest. E. There was only one person who ever signed her name like that. And I'd let her go. The message came the next morning. "Meet me. 3 p.m., Nexo lobby." No explanation. No signature. But I didn't need one. When I walked into the building I used to dream about escaping, the air felt heavier, sharper. Everything had changed, the glass walls, the security gates, even the logo. But the weight of old choices felt the same. And then she appeared. Same woman from the cafe. Same calm presence. Only now, she wasn't the stranger in gray, she was her. Evelyn. The woman I once hurt. The one who had walked away when I thought I wanted something else. She looked at me like someone surveying a house she used to live in. "It's strange," she said quietly. "Being back in a place that once held so much noise." I didn't know if she meant the company, or us. "I didn't know you owned Nexel," I said. My voice felt smaller than I wanted it to. I didn't. Not then. She smiled faintly. But things change when you stop waiting for someone to come back. I swallowed hard. Evelyn, don't, she said, but her tone wasn't cold. Not here. She led me to her office, all glass and pale light. She poured tea from a small ceramic pot, steam rising between us like something alive. The sound of it filled the silence. Green or black? She asked. Green. You always said it reminded you of spring. That detail, that she still remembered, did something strange to me. We sat across from each other, the city a blur beyond the windows. I wanted to say something that would make sense of everything, the years, the silence, the mess. Instead, I just said, "You look good." She gave a small laugh. Don't do that. What? Apologize through compliments. The words cut, not because they were cruel, but because they were true. I looked down at my hands, still trembling slightly. You were older. I was stupid. That's the short version, right? Don't reduce it, she said, voice soft but certain. We both made choices. You chased freedom. I pretended I didn't care. Her fingers brushed against the teacup, and I noticed a faint tremor, the kind that comes from holding too much in. Was it worth it? I asked before I could stop myself. She exhaled. The success. The distance. Maybe. But every time I walk into a room full of people, I still half expect to see you. That's the part one never planned for. The room felt smaller after that. Neither of us moved. The clock ticked. Somewhere down the hall, someone laughed, too loud, too far away. Evelyn reached across the table to refill my cup, and for a second, her fingers grazed mine. A small thing, but my breath caught anyway. She noticed. Didn't pull away. I shouldn't be doing this, she whispered. Then don't, I said, quieter still. Our eyes met, a pause that said more than words ever could. Something passed between us, regret, maybe. Or something trying to be forgiveness. When I finally stood to leave, she didn't stop me. She only said, don't disappear this time. If we talk again, let it be as who we are now. In the elevator, I caught my reflection, older, uncertain, still carrying her words like heat under the skin. And I don't know why that moment stayed with me, maybe because it felt like someone finally saw me. I started seeing her everywhere after that meeting. Not on purpose, or that's what I told myself. Once in the elevator, her reflection appeared beside mine in the mirrored wall. Once again in the break room, her voice low, giving quiet directions to someone who immediately listened. Evelyn didn't look at me, not directly. But I could feel the air shift when she entered a room, like static before rain. That Friday, she asked me to stay late. Just need your help reviewing a proposal, she said. Her tone was neutral. Professional. Too professional. The office emptied around us, lights dimming one section at a time until only her glass-walled office glowed faintly against the night. I stood beside her desk, pretending to focus on the document, but my eyes kept drifting, her hand tracing a sentence with a fountain pen, the way her breathing slowed when she was thinking. You still tap your pen when you're nervous, she said suddenly. I froze. I didn't realize I still did that. Some habits stay, she murmured. Some don't. Her words hung between us, soft but weighted. She leaned closer to see the chart I'd marked up, close enough that I could see the tiny mole near her collarbone, the one I used to kiss absent-mindedly. I shifted slightly back, heart beating too fast. She noticed that too. Relax, she said, almost teasing, but her voice trembled on the last syllable. I wanted to, God, I wanted to. But something about the distance, the years, the titles, her MS. Shaw and my junior consultant, made the air too tight to breathe. She straightened suddenly. We should keep this professional. I didn't say otherwise. I know. But she was already pulling away, tidying papers that didn't need tidying, closing files that weren't open. A silence fell, fragile, like glass about to crack. Outside, rain began, faint against the windows. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowned, set it face down. "A friend," she said, too quickly. I nodded, pretending not to notice her voice soften when she said it. We went back to the proposal, or tried to. My pen hovered over a sentence, unmoving. "Evelyn, don't." The word came out sharper than she intended. She closed her eyes, exhaled. "I'm sorry. This can't look like what it looks like." I wanted to tell her it didn't look like anything. But we both knew that wasn't true. So I said nothing. Minutes passed. The hum of the air conditioner, the soft shuffle of her sleeves. Then, without thinking, I reached for the cup near her hand to move it aside. She reached for it too, our fingers touched. Not even a second. But enough. We both froze. Her eyes lifted to mine. No smile. No words. Just a long, unguarded moment, full of everything we weren't saying. Her phone buzzed again. This time, she looked away. I took it as my cue and stepped back. "Good night, Ms. Shaw." She almost smiled, almost. "Good night." As I reached the doorway, I heard her say something, quiet, maybe not even meant for me. "I hate that I still remember how you take your coffee." I turned, but she was already facing the window, rain streaking the glass. That's when I knew, we hadn't moved on. We'd just learned how to pause longer between mistakes. And for a second, I almost turned back. Almost. It happened after another long night in the office. Most of the staff had gone home hours ago. The city lights below flickered like a distant sea, unreachable, indifferent. Evelyn stood by the window, jacket off, sleeves rolled to her elbows. She looked nothing like the woman who'd once walked out of my apartment years ago, silent and furious. But somehow, I could still see her, that same stillness before breaking. "You should go home," she said without turning. "So should you." "I live here now," she said, half laughing, half tired. Something about that made my chest tighten. "You mean in the office?" "No," she said, eyes on the skyline. "In this version of myself. The one that doesn't wait for anyone." I didn't know what to say to that. The silence stretched until it hurt. I walked over, stood beside her. We were close enough for our reflections to blur into one, hers steady, mine restless. "Why did you come back?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. "You mean to this city?" "No. To me." That made her finally look at me. There it was, the old flicker of something. Anger? Nostalgia? Maybe both. "I didn't," she said. "You were just, still here." The way she said it, soft, almost apologetic, hit harder than anything cruel could have. We watched the rain collect on the window ledge. Her hand brushed against mine, maybe by accident. I didn't move away. She sighed. "You shouldn't make this harder. I'm not the one who called me back." Her eyes flicked to mine. "Don't twist this. I'm not. You are." Her voice cracked slightly at the end. The kind of crack that says too much. I looked at her, really looked. The faint lines around her mouth, the tiredness she tried to hide, the strength that cost her something. "I thought you hated me," I said. "I did." She paused. "But I hate you less than I hate how easily I remember you." I didn't mean to laugh, but I did. A small, broken sound. She laughed too, just once, shaking her head. The quiet after that was unbearable. "Evelyn," I said, voice low. She turned slightly, waiting. I keep thinking about that morning, the last one. The coffee you left on the counter, the note. You didn't even sign it. I couldn't, she whispered. If I did, I would have stayed. She looked away then, blinking too fast, pretending it was dust or tiredness. You think this is still about what happened years ago, she said after a moment. But it's not. It's about what we never stopped wanting, and how wrong that still feels. Her words landed heavy, somewhere between warning and confession. We stood there, inches apart, breathing the same air but not crossing that impossible line. Outside, a car horn echoed. Inside, everything stilled. She lifted her hand slightly, like she might touch my face. Then stopped. I almost reached for her hand. Almost. Her eyes softened. You should really go, she said again, but this time it sounded like please don't. I nodded, though my feet didn't move. The hum of the city filled the pause between us. Evelyn, I said, finally. She met my gaze, steady, unguarded, waiting. I wanted to ask, do you still love me? But the question stayed trapped behind my teeth. So instead, I said nothing. And maybe silence was the truest question of all. For 3 days, I didn't see her. No meetings. No late-night texts about revisions. No soft knock on my door asking, you still here? Just silence, the kind that hums at the edges of your thoughts. At first, I told myself she was busy. She was the CEO, after all. But by day 4, I started noticing the change, her name missing from the meeting invites, her assistant deflecting with careful phrases. She's working remotely this week, they said. But her office light stayed off. That Friday, I saw her in the lobby. Briefly. She was talking to a man, tall, composed, the kind of presence that made everyone step aside. He touched her arm lightly, familiar. She didn't pull away. When she saw me, something flickered in her expression, recognition, then restraint. Evelyn, I said, before I could stop myself. She smiled politely. Too politely. Mr. Hale. Not you. Not the way she used to say it. The man looked between us, sensing the air shift. We'll finish this later, he said to her. Then, to me, a nod, nothing more. When he left, I asked, a client? She hesitated. An old friend. From before? From after? Her tone made it clear, don't ask. But I already had. We stood there in the polished lobby, 2 reflections caught in the marble, close enough to touch, pretending we were fine. You disappeared, I said quietly. You noticed. The words stung more than they should have. She sighed. You were getting too close. I thought that's what we were doing. That's the problem, she said, her voice cracking around the edges. For a moment, she looked like she wanted to explain, to tell me something she'd been holding back. But she didn't. She only said, there's something I didn't tell you. And just like that, my heartbeat shifted. She hesitated, glancing toward the elevator. I have a daughter. I blinked. What? She's 19. It took a second to process. That man. No, she said quickly. Her father's gone. A long time now. She exhaled, slow, steady. But she's starting an internship here next month. At Nexel. My stomach dropped. Evelyn, she shook her head. Don't. Not now. Not again. Then she walked away, heels tapping against the marble, each step a little faster than the last. I stood there long after the elevator doors closed. People passed me, co-workers, receptionists, but the sound felt distant, like everything was happening underwater. That night, I started to text her. I'm sorry I asked. I didn't know. I miss the way you look at me when you think I'm not looking. I typed, deleted, retyped. The words kept changing shape. Finally, I wrote, "You don't have to disappear to stay safe from me. I'd never hurt you twice." I stared at the screen until the typing cursor blinked itself into nothing. Then I backspaced every word. Didn't send it. Didn't sleep either. By morning, I told myself it was fine. That distance was good. That it made sense. But I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused. Like life forgot to finish the sentence. It was late, the kind of late where the city goes quiet enough to hear yourself think. I hadn't seen Evelyn in 2 weeks. Meetings passed. Emails came and went, polite and formal. The distance had settled into something like routine. Then one night, a knock. Not loud. Just one, then another, hesitant, familiar. When I opened the door, she was there. No suit. No heels. Just a plain gray sweater and a look that didn't match any version of her I'd ever known. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. The apartment looked the same, half clean, half lived in. She noticed the mug on the counter, the stack of untouched mail. The air between us felt fragile. "I shouldn't be here," she said. "I know. But I didn't want to leave things like that." She stood near the window, arms crossed, like she needed something to hold on to. "My daughter met you today," she said after a moment. "She said you seemed kind." I froze. "She's already started?" "She wanted to surprise me." Evelyn smiled faintly. "She liked your idea about restructuring the mentorship program." I laughed softly. "Guess I'm still good at something." That made her turn. Really turn. "You always were," she said quietly. "Just never believed it." Silence again. Not empty, just full of things we didn't know how to name. "I kept thinking," she began, "that if I avoided you long enough, whatever this was would fade. But it didn't." "Maybe it's not supposed to," I said. Her eyes searched mine, uncertain. "You don't get to say that. You were the one who, I know." The way I said it stopped her. "I know what I did. I was young. I thought running was freedom. It took me years to realize it was just fear." She didn't respond. Just stared at the floor, tracing her thumb along the edge of her sleeve. "I didn't come here to reopen anything," she said finally. "I came because I wanted you to know. I forgave you. A long time ago. I hadn't expected that." The words hit differently, not soft, not warm, but clean, like rain after dust. "Evelyn, no, let me finish." She looked up, eyes steady now. "Forgiving you didn't mean forgetting you. It meant making peace with the part of me that still cared." I took a slow breath. "And what about the part of you standing here now?" Her lips parted, but no words came. She just shook her head lightly, half smiling through what looked like exhaustion. "I don't know," she said. "Maybe she's just tired of pretending she doesn't want to stay." That silence after, it wasn't awkward. It was alive. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her breath. I thought she might touch my face. I thought I might let her. But instead, she rested a hand on my chest, just once, light and brief. "This doesn't have to mean anything," she said. "I know. Or maybe it means everything." I didn't answer. Her hand lingered a second longer. Then she whispered, "Okay." And somehow, that one word felt like forgiveness, goodbye, and beginning, all at once. It's strange how peace doesn't arrive all at once. It sneaks in quietly, the way morning light slips through blinds, unnoticed until it warms your hands. Months passed after that night. Things didn't change suddenly, but slowly, like a room learning how to breathe again. We didn't make announcements. We didn't label anything. She still ran Nexel. I still worked under her. But some mornings, she'd stop by my desk at 8:47 a.m., right on cue, and place a small paper cup beside my laptop. Black coffee. No sugar. I remembered, she'd say. I'd always smile. You always do. It became our quiet language. Sometimes we'd share lunch on the bench outside the building, the same one where we'd once argued, then fallen silent. She'd bring green tea now instead of coffee, saying her doctor advised it. I'd tease her about acting her age, and she'd roll her eyes but smile anyway. Little things. Unremarkable things. But I learned that's what forgiveness feels like, not a single moment, but a series of small, repeated choices. Her daughter, Mia, finished her internship and took a job offer at another firm. The day she left, Evelyn cried, not loudly, not brokenly, just quietly into a napkin while pretending to read emails. I didn't say anything. I just poured her a cup of tea and sat beside her. No grand comfort. Just presence. We still didn't call it love, not in words. But sometimes, when we walked home together after work, her hand would brush mine. Neither of us would move away. One evening, while locking up, she said, "You know, I never thought peace could feel this, dull." I laughed. Dull. She nodded. In the best way. Like silence that doesn't hurt anymore. I think that was her way of saying she was happy. The years between us stopped feeling like a gap. They became space, enough room for breath, for stillness, for everything we never had time to say before. We'd meet every Sunday morning at the same cafe where it all began. The staff changed, the chairs wobbled a little, but the coffee still burned your tongue if you weren't careful. This time, she'd sit first. And I'd be the one asking, "Anyone using this chair?" She'd look up, pretending not to know me, a small smile curving her mouth. "Go ahead." We'd both laugh quietly. That became our rhythm, not dramatic, not cinematic, just real. And maybe that's what love turns into when it survives itself, not fireworks, but a steady hum. Not an ending, but an echo that doesn't fade. Last week, she forgot her thermos in my car. I texted her, "You left something behind again." She replied, "Maybe on purpose this time." I didn't answer. Didn't need to. I just looked at the thermos sitting on the passenger seat, still warm, and thought, we finally learned how to stay. Not by holding tighter. But by not running anymore. And for the first time in years, the silence between us felt like home.